Don't forget to download the Odyssey app, 95.7 The Game, thousands of other stations and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, the podcasts are all available completely free. You can watch every Warrior game live on the app along with all the music and news the Bay Area needs. Howard Beck in 13 minutes. Kirk Morrison. Now we're in 13 minutes to talk about the NFL. We got a couple calls here. So asking what's on your mind.
All right, so there was a play last night. The Warriors lose last night, and there's a variety of reasons why they lost. Right. But one thing stuck out to a lot of people. And there was a play with Jordan-Poole getting the ball on the wing above the three-point line toward the bench, and it feels like he's being pressured. Draymond cuts to the elbow, the key, whatever your terminology is, sticks his hands up, doesn't get the ball. Poole kicks it back to the top of the key. Person at the top of the key passes to Draymond. His back is turned in disgust as he's throwing his hands up. Ball goes the other way. And the way people interpret this is so funny to me because I didn't see a pass there for Jordan-Poole. I feel like it was being ball pressured. And even if, you're not going to make that entry pass every single time, depending on what's going on.
Go ahead.
No, but here we go from the 209. Oh my God, the coach doesn't know what he's talking about. Jordan-Poole's on the sideline. Your first read is to throw the pass, and he's not immune to criticism in the situation. Draymond Green overreacted, but Poole's got to make that pass. So another one. Draymond did that because players are tired of Poole. I'm sick of scapegoating Jordan-Poole. At what point are we going to, accept I feel like Draymond could shoot someone in the head on video.
Don't say that.
You're right. I shouldn't say that. But it feels like people are – you're right. I shouldn't say that at all. People are coming up with excuses on Draymond. Dre's not above criticism. He has done time and time again something to a teammate on the court that's like, dude, come on. If you're supposed to be a leader, you can't do those things. And there's a certain segment of Warrior fans that give him a pass no matter what and instantly criticize. Poole has not been good. Poole has not been good. But stop with this rhetoric that Poole is the reason the Warriors are as bad as they are this year.
Poole's not the reason why they're that bad. Poole's got to figure out how to play off the bench, though. He does have to do that.
I agree.
He has to do that.
He has to shoot better. He has to take care of the ball better.
Let's go back to the play, and let's try to explain it to people, because we're going to play this Kerr soundbite. Draymond Green flashes. Jordan-Poole's right there getting suffocated on the wing, so he passes it to Klay Thompson. Because if he passes it to Draymond Green, Josh Giddey is stealing that pass. He's stealing that pass.
That's your interpretation.
That's my interpretation. Yes. So Draymond doesn't get the ball. Klay Thompson gets it. He looks for Draymond and passes it for Draymond. But instead of Draymond looking for the pass from Klay Thompson, he's already put his hands up in the air for disgust and walks away, which starts an OKC fast break. Now, thankfully, I don't think OKC capitalized on the break.
Yes.
But you even heard Bob Fitzgerald say, that's an oddity. Draymond Green just kind of quit on the play. And Buki was critical. It's like, no matter what, you got to get back on defense.
That's what I'm saying.
He walked away to the corner, soaking. So Steve Kerr was asked about that. And here's what he had to say.
We were a little disconnected in the first half several times. We talked about that at halftime, tried to get back out there and compete, the second half. But there was definitely a disconnect in the first half, and that cost us.
A disconnect. They gave up 68 points. They were down 4. They gave up 40 the first quarter. But was that situation addressed? That's got to be addressed.
Why do we hold Poole?
As a captain of the team, but he's got to be held accountable.
I'm glad you're bringing up the accountable word. Why do we hold Poole accountable for every mistake? Why do we hold Kuminga and Wiseman when he was here and GMG or whoever it is accountable for every little mistake? Now, I get it. Draymond has earned a long runway. But we can't hold him accountable every now and then when his antics override. That was such a small play in the fabric of a game for him to lose his mind. And if you watch the game from the get, which I know you do, he was crying and whining and complaining all game. It felt like he didn't want to play all game.
I mean, they fell behind 13-2. Draymond goes to the cup. And he's yelling for a foul. He goes, God damn!
Yes.
He was yelling before he even got touched and shot the layup. I'm like, geez. And you can hear the hot mics. Draymond always gets on he was telling somebody from, I think it was the Blazers. Was it the Blazers game? He was telling somebody, 4 rings, all-stars. Just chirping. Jesus Christ. I mean, but Jordan-Poole, we're going to scapegoat him because he doesn't have the equity. We're going to scapegoat Jonathan Kuminga. But at the same time, we're scapegoating Klay Thompson. We always pick and choose who we scapegoat.
That's true.
The problem is,
and I'm guilty of that.
It's not just you. No, it's not. It's not you. We all wrong. No. We scapegoat everybody. That's what we do.
But I try to be an equal opportunist in terms of criticism.
But who's going to hold Draymond Green accountable?
That's why I'm asking.
You're disconnected in the first half. What about that play?
What about the final 4 minutes when Jordan Poole's on the bench?
It's not closing games.
And he shouldn't have.
And he shouldn't.
And in that situation, he shouldn't have. But you could blame Jordan Poole for this, that, and the other. Okay, final 4 minutes. What did it look like? He wasn't even on the floor.
He wasn't on the floor.
Did he start the game when they were down?
No, he didn't start the game.
When they were down 10 points early?
13-2? No, he wasn't. He didn't start either.
So, no one is saying that the core group of guys, Klay, Steph, and Draymond, no one's not saying that they're not amazing and all-time greats. All I'm saying is you can't pick and choose who you want to criticize and when. Either we're going to be realistic and assess that, it's been spotty, and his attitude, Draymond's attitude, is a big reason why this team has been so inconsistent.
No, it has. It really has. 34 and 32 on the season. You could say sixth place, tied for fifth. They had the same record as the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at Grizzlies at the 3 spot. I'm looking at the Grizzlies at 3. I don't mind being 6 if I'm the Warriors. I'm telling you right now. Right now, the Warriors do not want to play Sacramento. They do not want to play Phoenix. They do not want to play Denver.
I have a hard time looking at the standings for a variety of reasons, but right now, I am so focused on form. Yeah. Just play better.
Build good habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Build good habits.
So that the sky's not falling. The season's not over.
No,
it's all those things.
Another thing we haven't even addressed, because they're last in the league and they always turn the ball over, but 21 turnovers last night.
And how many down the stretch?
And so, numerous. But here's the problem.
They blitzed Curry and he just threw it away.
Points in the paint.
Yeah.
Points in the paint. The Warriors lead that category 19-9 at the half. Well, they ended the game 30-26. So OKC closed that gap in a major way. Points in the paint in the second half, 32-22. They have no rim resistance.
I know.
Coach was talking about the big. Well, damn, I'm watching the big in Detroit.
don't
10 for 13.
Don't even.
Don't get me started on that. Anthony in Richmond. Anthony, what's happening?
Don't even do that.
You're on the roast.
Good morning. Thank you, guys. So first and foremost, John wanted to hug you about 5 minutes ago. You gave that analogy.
It was terrible. I'm sorry. I should not even insinuate that. That is. I apologize.
On your road, I always appreciate the passion. I know that is not what you meant. It's all good. But I wanted to say 2 things. Well, actually 3. One, leaders are not above criticism.
Exactly.
Draymond cannot be a leader if he can't be criticized. And I am of the belief, even at your job, you do it with respect, but you should be able to criticize or hold your boss accountable. It's human nature for people to try to get at the lesser people because they're afraid to point the finger at the person that's really responsible.
Totally agree. That's a great point.
Thank you, guys. So the next thing is we're not athletic enough. These guys are closing out on us so fast. We get steals. They're right in our face as soon as they're down there. I've seen a lot of plays and possessions where they were just so much more faster and athletic than us. The only people that were really kind of hustling was DDV and Kuminga, and that just comes with age. The other thing I wanted to say is I kind of just wanted to respond to David and Brentwood because I actually usually agree with everything he said, but Lamar Jackson has done nothing but been a model citizen as well as a professional. And you guys remember when what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. He came down from Seattle, and he did his own. Remember when he negotiated
Richard Sherman
contract?
And
Richard Sherman, and everybody was up in arms about that.
Yep.
So he took a lot of criticism because he bucked the system. And Lamar has done that as well when you consider he uses his mother as his agent, and there's nothing wrong with that. And when you don't kind of go along with the social norm, people just decide to criticize you for no reason. So I didn't want to come at David, but I wanted to kind of just put that out there because the perception of Lamar is not something that he created.
Exactly.
It's what other people are creating for him because Lamar has been great.
Exactly.
But I did just want to...
Dude, he's everything you want in a franchise quarterback.
That's a great point.
He's been an MVP.
I don't know where. I think that was Jose in Oakland.
I
don't know where the hell he was going with this bad attitude thing. We just throw bad attitude on certain players.
People keep saying, well, he sat out a playoff game. No, he didn't. He hurt his knee, and the team balked at giving him a fair amount of money on the front end of the season, and his career's on the line. We know how small these windows are. Yep. I don't blame him at all. I keep thinking about this. Bill Belichick, where are you on the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes? You can't draft a quarterback to save your life. You're in flux, okay? All you want to do is run the ball and play tight games. Why are you not all in on the Lamar experience?
Look, two things could be like you asked me, do I want Lamar in the Niners? Knowing Shanahan,
we don't have the ammunition to.
You don't have the ammo, don't have the cap, don't have the picks. But with Shanahan, I'm just like Lamar. Like quarterbacks just drop like flies with Shanahan.
I know.
I don't know if I would take that risk. But I looked at a team like Miami. That is close.
Yeah.
That has a lot of speed.
And he's from South Florida.
He's from South Florida. He would pop down there in that community. Pop.
Oh, he'd be huge.
I mean, what about the Jets?
Him and Tyreek and Waddle. Oh, my God.
Now, the Jets are talking to Aaron Rodgers. What if that doesn't fall through? What about the Raiders? I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers doing the exact same thing Brett Favre did. It's just, I mean, you can't write the scripts.
He's got to be sick, Lamar stealing the headlines now. He's got to be sick.
But Lamar has a bad attitude. What has Aaron Rodgers done for the last 5 years? You guys want to talk about attitudes?
He quits.
He's just zany. Aaron Rodgers, he's just out there.
Let's go to
not
Marcus
one
real quick.
teammate swears by him.
Right, not one. A lot of teammates swear by Lamar, though. Let's go to Marcus in Oakland. Marcus, what's happening?
Yo, what up, y'all?
What's good, baby? Oh, man, I'm a little frustrated about the Warriors, but I'll get over it.
The rain's got me depressed.
Hey,
I'm not going to lie.
Man, I ain't talked to y'all since Philly, man, but it's all good.
Hey, didn't it feel good to watch Kansas City win that Super Bowl? Put a smile on your face,
really
Marcus.
Man, isn't it?
Felt great. It felt great.
But
and now they're talking about cultural problems in Philadelphia. Oh, life is good. Go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead, Marcus.
But to our Dubs, though, man, I feel like the veterans failed us in bridging the gap with these young guys, man. I mean, I feel like it started with Wiseman in his rookie years. You got Draymond yelling at him, getting a technical because he yelled at him too much, Wiseman get a fair shake. The coaches got such a short leash on these young guys. It's like they don't even have a chance. We don't have no bench to do anything,
Yeah. Marcus, it's, you make a great point. Anthony in Richmond makes a great point. Athletic teams have destroyed them all season long.
Oh, yeah, but that's to be expected.
That's to be expected with a veteran team.
When you only have one athlete, or I can say two, Dante and him. Dante and Kuminga.
But, the Warriors are pressing up on OKC, knowing that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Josh Giddey will blow by any one of those guys.
I know.
I mean, Anthony Slater put out a great article last night with the breakdowns of the pick-and-roll defense and them blowing assignments. You could really learn a lot from Anthony Slater. He knows the game inside out. Really smart writer. Really smart when it comes to basketball. I mean, just simple blow-bys. Shasky, you'll see why your team wouldn't do this stuff that the Warriors are doing right now. Breakdowns and coverages. These guys have been playing together forever. The core, at least. And everybody's talking about the starting lineup. Oh, best net rating, blah, 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 blah.
I don't want to hear about
net rating. They fell behind by double digits in 6 straight games.
They averaged 33 points per game in the first quarter. That's
Teams
what they're giving up.
Them.
Yeah.
Cooking them.
If I hear about net rating in the first quarter, that is the war of basketball
it's terrible.
right now. I don't want to hear about it.
And by the way.
You saw that thing that I sent you the other day.
Oh, the war stuff?
Yeah. It was like Dante Bichette and some David Justice's entire career, the war, both of them, 2 great players. Their war combined was less than Joey Gallo last year, who batted 189. It's the most flawed stat ever.
I've never incorporated war.
Oh, that's the main
PFF grades.
Plus minus.
Well, since people want to talk plus minus and Andre Iguodala.
Oh, what was his?
Oh, Iguodala looks so good. Iguodala, man. Minus 14 last night. The dude had 3 turnovers in 6 minutes in the first half.
When you're running a team or a business or an organization, this thing that you can't treat everyone the same. Totally agree with that. How I motivate Bonte Hill is not, or empower or talk to or discipline Bonte Hill is not the same as me talking, discipline, working with, Joe Spadoni or Sam Lubman. You react differently, and your motivations are different, and your core beliefs are different, and so I'm going to try to connect with you. But on some level, you cannot give somebody full runway at the end of the bench in Andre Iguodala, I'm just using him as an example. And he's minted, he could do no wrong. And then every little step of this guy over here is going to be, raked over the coals.
It's unfair.
You got to meet in the middle a little. And I don't expect you to treat them exactly the same. That's foolish. But what I'm saying is they're so far apart, the disparity is so big, you're creating a toxic work environment because now none of the youngsters, they can't even take a step without looking over their shoulder.
Well, they don't respect it either.
No,
and that falls on coaching. All of a sudden, they start disrespecting the coaches because they're saying, well, You're holding us accountable for this turnover. What about that guy?
Yeah.
What about this guy? All of a sudden, I make a mistake and I'm getting chewed out in front of everybody. This guy walks off on the play, Draymond Green. Nothing happens. Nothing. So I guess they addressed it at halftime yesterday. Anyway, Howard Beck, one of our favorites, national NBA writer for Sports Illustrated. He's covered the league for many, many years, going back to the 80s with the old L.A. Lakers. I'm actually from Oakland, California as well. Catch him on the Crossover Podcast with Chris Mannix. It's a really good pod. You'll learn a lot there. Howard, good morning, man. Welcome back to the Roast. Joe Shaskin, the Butcher, Bonte Hill. And we weren't going to start with Ja Morant, but let's start with the Golden State Warriors. They give up 137 last night to OKC. OKC's a tough team. They play hard. I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Defensively, the Warriors haven't been there. We know about their road woes. Whenever they trailed after three quarters, on the road, they're 0-18. But did you see the Draymond Green play? And if you did, what was your thoughts on the Draymond Green play when he kind of just walked off when Jordan-Poole didn't pass him the ball?
I didn't see the entire game. We had an old friend drop in unexpectedly last night, so I caught pieces, and I did check out a few things this morning. I did see the clip of that play this morning, which I was unaware of until about 30 minutes ago, and my jaw kind of dropped. Like, we all know what Draymond is about and how smart he is about the game. And obviously that's a moment where his emotions took over, his exasperation got in the way. And, I'm sure he'd be the first to say, maybe he did last night if he was asked about it, but he has to be better than that, right? And at any point, especially now, especially this stage of the season where they have to tighten up, and you can't, if we're going to keep pointing toward, the young guys who didn't quite step up this season, or the bench that has been kind of unpredictable, unreliable, you still have to start with the veterans who are the tone setters and who do know what it takes to win at the highest level, and you start there. And if Draymond is having a lapse like that, where he lets the exasperation take over, and the next thing you know, it's a fast break in the other direction. And look, that was ultimately part of that is Clay making a bad pass too, and he had a couple of those last night. But still, you never want to. You never want to extrapolate too much from one play and say, there it is, the season in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. But there are times when you look at a play like that and you go, well, maybe this isn't meant to be. Because we're still seeing this.
And there's irony, hypocrisy, I'm not sure exactly the word. He was so mad at Kevin Durant for not committing to the team long term, and every day Kevin Durant was asked about it. Yet this year, with his contract option looming, he hasn't committed one way or the other. There is some hypocrisy on. I mean, obviously he's got a lot of things that we all do as well, where you can be, a hypocrite. It's just I feel this whole thing. The underlying thing is the contract and the offseason. There's just so much going on here below the surface. Is that the sense that you're getting from people that are in the know?
I'm going to push back on that theory a little bit, just in the sense that, I don't think the analogy is lines up. Durant, there was so much noise that he definitely was, unhappy and wanted to leave, and he was a straight-up free agent. Obviously, Draymond's got the option. The better path, for the most part, over these last 10 years or so, in this era where stars are changing teams all the time, the better path is usually to do what Draymond's done, which is, I'm not going to talk about this. If you're making a bunch of noise about it behind the scenes, and then just not addressing it publicly, that's a little different. There's a gap between your private words and your public presentation on it. I'm not sure that that's what's eating at them. I don't know what exactly to make of the general state of things anymore. I would say this, too. Just, look, this sounds too easy, but if Steph is just healthy all season, they're still probably having some struggles on the road, and the defense is still going to be what it is and whatever, but there are a few more games up in the win column, and maybe a couple spots up in the standings, and we'd be thinking about it in a different way, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And so so much it's funny how much has gone wrong and how much the discussion around the Warriors is about what's gone wrong, starting with obviously Draymond punching Jordan-Poole and everything that's come since then, and Weissman and the young guys bench. Trade for Gary Payton and how that's turned out. Like, all of these things. All of that said, Clay is having this Renaissance type season and is better than the player he was a year ago at this time, when they were on their way to eventually winning a championship that we didn't see coming. And Steph is still Steph. He just has to stay on the court. But, he's had injuries, and that happens with older teams.
Howard Beck, national NBA writer for Sports Illustrated, tapped in, one of the best out there in the business covering the NBA. Let me ask you this, Howard. How was Jordan-Poole looked at nationally?
I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. It's...
And the reason, real quick, Howard, the reason why I asked is because out here in the Bay Area, we're like, all right, Jordan-Poole is rising. He has this crazy split. When he comes off the bench, he averages 14.5 points per game, and he's a non-factor. When he starts, he's averaging nearly 25 points per game. You're like, wow, look at Jordan-Poole. He could one day carry the torch for this franchise once Steph and Clay and Draymond all move on here. And it's such a weird he's kind of a polarizing figure out here in the Bay Area in which some fans just like, hey, trade this guy to the All-Season. He plays no defense. He's all about himself. And then some fans are like, well, this guy's a talent. He can get to the cup. He gets to the free throw line. He can shoot the three, even though he's not doing it well this season. But it's just a big enigma right now with this basketball team, Jordan-Poole, that is. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's kind of the, like, I have not asked around recently. I don't know how, opposing scouts or coaches would view him. It's not something I have a handle on. I know what I see in him from my vantage point, which is there is that inconsistency. And, there are a lot of guys with talent in this league who, especially early in their careers, they flash just enough to make you believe that this is somebody who is going to keep rising on a steady trajectory, and they'll be an all-star someday, a perennial all-star. A team that, a guy you can build a team around. And, it's never that simple. Poole has those moments and has the talent that you look at it and see that the outline of that kind of trajectory is there, but it doesn't always follow. It has to do with guys, mental makeup and their commitment and their work ethic, and whether they're constantly still trying to improve or whether they're satisfied with where they are. And I'm not around that team enough to know where Poole falls in that spectrum. He's obviously a really intriguing talent, and at his best, he is a guy that you think is the bridge to the next era, whatever that era looks like. But the consistency isn't there yet. He's still young too, so you don't want to fall on the other side of that and say, well, he's never going to be any better than this. Trade him now while you can. I do think a lot of people felt like it was a bit of an overpay on the contract, but it was also an understandable overpay given where they were and given how much they need their young guys to step into the fray. And Jordan-Poole had overall a pretty important postseason last spring.
And when you look at Andrew Wiggins, things I never thought I'd say 2 years ago, they desperately miss Andrew Wiggins. Career year last year, shines in the playoffs, second best player, we all thought. And then this year feels like a lost season. How bad do they need this guy?
Well, that's the other thing, too, and I should have mentioned that off the top. When we're talking about all the things that have gone wrong this season, or we're talking about where they are and what's caused it, and all this still theorizing about underlying rifts because of Draymond and Jordan-Poole. Again, if Andrew Wiggins is just playing the majority of the season instead of between injury and personal issues just being gone, again, might be a completely different story. And that's the thing I keep coming back to with this team, and it's why I said on another Bay Area show within the last week or so, I know every single data point, all the logic points to saying that at this stage of the season, a team with this record and this defensive rating and this road record and this inconsistency, we should all just write off, and yet I still cannot write them off because Steph is still there and Draymond is still there and Clay is still there, and because their starting five, their preferred starting five, and a couple different versions of their starting five, still rate among the best lineups in the NBA. And in the postseason, you don't have to worry about going 8 or 9 deep. You go 7 deep. And Wiggins is a huge piece of this, clearly. If we want to talk about their defense struggling, well, we can't pretend that he wasn't one of the linchpins to that defense last spring. There are still scenarios here where everything falls into place. Wiggins comes back, they stay healthy, and they make a run. I don't know how deep that run is, but like I say, there's still, in my own head, there is a big gap or just a tension between the part of me that says that all the data points to this is already over. Nobody, has this record, this stage of the season. And even all that said, I think at the time I said that they were still like 7th in the West or whatever. What are they today? 4th? Wherever they are. It's and that's that's also the state of the West this year, which is another another check in their favor. There's things are very fluid.
Last one for you, Howard, and we'll get you out of here. Ja Morant. What's going to happen there? Is he going to get to 50 games? What do you think happens there? Do we see him on Thursday at least against the Golden State Warriors?
Well, it's not 50 games. My buddy Mark Stein, good friend of mine, had thrown out that number on his podcast and then later followed up with a tweet that said, I misspoke. There's no automatic.
Got it.
The league has complete latitude to decide how long it needs to be, and they'll count the games that he's already missed, right? I don't think we're going to see him back on the court soon, guys. I mean, I don't think we're seeing him against the Warriors, and I don't know how soon we'll see him back. I mean, I don't know. I'm not about to guess. The league is investigating, and when I say the league is investigating, the league has an entire security apparatus staffed with former cops, former FBI agents, and they will know far more than we do. They sometimes know, I think, more than the local authorities do when things happen.
Right.
They will gather all the information, and they'll render a decision. And until they do, there's still a lot we don't know. Yeah. We still don't know if he's in trouble with the authorities in Colorado. We don't know if that gun was his. We don't know if it was loaded. We don't know if it was actually a real gun. We don't there's a bunch of stuff that is still plausibly up in the air. But I'm guessing it's weeks, not days, that he'll be out. I think that's probably safe to say. And there's still a lot that we don't know.
And they may drop in the standings here. Third place in the Western Conference. Phoenix is rising. Sacramento now at a 2 spot, 7.5 behind the Denver Nuggets. Sacramento, what a story they have. But the Warriors, they got to get out track here. 7-25 on the road. They'll take on the Grizzlies, who have the second best home record in the NBA on Thursday at 26-5. Howard, we always appreciate the time and the insight.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Anytime.
buddy.
Howard Beck, national NBA writer for Sports Illustrated. A lot to unpack there.